Hey there, everybody, and welcome to Com 201. I'm Dr. Carl Brown. I'll be taking care of you this semester. I always feel sort of like a waiter when I say it like that, but it's even stranger now because we're in this online environment. I thought I'd try to make it as similar to reality as possible, so I came to campus. No, I'm just kidding. It's a Zoom background. My office is right there, but that probably won't matter to you in Lake Michigan Hall because everything that we're going to do this semester will be virtual. It's something new that I've not done since 2005, and if you can call that virtual, it was an online speech course, but it was basically students recording speeches, putting them on VHS tapes, shipping them to me, and then I would watch and ship them back so they could put on the next speech. It's definitely unique. It's something that we'll probably do more of in the future, so why not get to know it now? For us, though, what I want to focus on in this introduction video is to introduce you to the class. I want to tell you a little bit about my expectations for a asynchronous course and what that means. I want to look at the syllabus, and then I want to talk about the Blackboard site. So this is sort of that first day of class meeting where everything hopefully will be explained. At the end of this video, if you do not feel clear on something, feel free to send me an email or get with me and let me know what you need, and I'm happy to help all the time. So, what is asynchronous? To be clear, that means that we will not have any face to face virtual meetings. We're not going to have a set time where we meet. We're actually not even going to have any special times that we meet. It's all going to be online with no need for us all to be in the same virtual space at the same time. Now, sometimes I'm sure that you've had courses before that are short courses, which maybe you had to go through like a training or something for work. I know I get those a lot, and it will be watch this video, answer these 5 questions, and you do that 3 or 4 times, and then at the end you see if you pass or not. And then you get to do it again and again and again. This is like that, but not. And so what I mean is there are assignments, obviously, and we'll talk about those. There are quizzes also about what you just saw on a video. And I don't want you, though, to just turn the video on, hit mute, and then try to answer the questions. If you're going to do that, just go ahead and take the quiz anyway. But realize you only get one shot at it. I mean, it's not one of those try it again situations. But I tell you that to say this. If you wanted to, I don't advise this, but if you wanted to, you could finish this course in 3 days, maybe, right? You could go ahead and blow through everything and get it out of the way. I do not advise that, and here's why. During this progression of the 6 weeks, you will learn things that you will need to sort of build on. It's a step by step process. I really do believe public speaking is a teachable, learnable skill. It's not just some people are speakers and some people are not. So, with that in mind, I try my best to give you quality feedback. So if I get an assignment from you, like an outline, for example, and I have some time with it, I can get you feedback that you can then use and incorporate into your actual presentation. So, if you wanted to go through quickly, you could, but it would not allow you the opportunity to get that kind of feedback. So keep that in mind. Again, the choice is yours. When we look at the syllabus and the schedule, it has a suggested timeline for you. And that's just it, it's suggested. And that's the timeline I will be working on in terms of getting you feedback. So we'll see all that shortly. All right, let's take a look at that syllabus. Let's bring it up here. Let's go side by side. Maybe. Come over here and we'll put this there. Okay. So at the top, you've got nothing really new or exciting. You've got our basic course information in case you need it. As you see, it's online asynchronous. You got my contact information up there. The email is, of course, the best way to get a hold of me. It's on my phone, of course, so it comes right away. If you go more than 24 hours after you send me an email and you haven't heard from me, send me another email or call the office number there on the syllabus. I will not be in the office, of course, but it will prompt you to leave a voicemail. If you do that, that then goes to my email also. So that doesn't count holidays. If I don't think we have any holidays in this quick semester, but that doesn't count weekends. So Monday through Friday, I'm on it. Normally on weekends, I am too, but just in case, I like to put that little caveat in there. So, what are we going to do in this course? Well, it's just learning to be a more comfortable, effective, confident speaker. We'll talk a lot about empowerment as we go through the first couple of these videos. And empowered speakers are confident in their abilities to influence their audience, and they feel a sense of personal agency. Basically, they feel like if something needs to be said, they could be the person to stand up and say it because they have the skills, the ability, the confidence to do that. Now, this course may not make you into the next Dr. King. I hope it does, and if it does, let me know, and I'll come help you write speeches. But it's more than likely going to prepare you for something that you'll face in the future, whether that's other academic assignments where you need to do a presentation, whether that's the workforce where you'll need to put together a presentation for work, these sorts of things. And you will hopefully have a leg up. You'll have the edge on everyone else that might be doing the same thing, so that you can stand out and get some praise for that. Now, I also like to mention that speaking is never gonna, you can't avoid it. So even if you think, look, I'm never gonna give a speech in public, I don't want to do it, I won't do it. How do you know? I mean, how do you know? Even some jobs, computer programming, for example, I know a lot of the computer science students have to take this course. In fact, my undergraduate student director at the speech lab, which I'll tell you more about that in a minute. I'm the executive director of the speech lab on campus. My student undergraduate director is a computer science major. And so, you wouldn't usually connect those two things together, but it can definitely happen. And so I want you to keep in mind that maybe you're going to be training people and you'll have to give a presentation. Maybe you apply for a job and you make it to the next round, and they want you to give a presentation. You never know. So let's keep that in mind as we move through this. Now, what are the specific goals and objectives? We're going to work on organizing skills and supporting through sources. We're going to talk about delivering ideas in a clear and effective way. Clarity will be key for us more than pizzazz or flash. We will apply effective public speaking concepts to real life performances. Excuse me. What that means is, I again want you to simulate reality as much as we can. We're not going to just do things to do them. Again, all the things that you will learn here hopefully will be applicable later in life for you. We're going to assess speeches, learn the difference between good and bad ones. We're going to talk about the audience and how much you have to focus on them, and it's a ton. As you go from topic selection to source selection to the just simple words that you use. You should always be thinking of that audience. We'll talk about you establishing credibility as a speaker, and that will come through the use of good sources. We'll talk about public speaking anxiety. I'm sure none of you are nervous at all. Sure. But just in case, we'll cover it anyway. We will talk about strategies, excuse me, again, for outlining and preparing for speeches. We have a course outline that we'll talk about in a later video, and all of your big three speeches in this course will use that outline. They will use it in different ways, informative versus persuasive, but it's still that same thing. And I hope that you're able to take that outline and again, use that later in life. You'll see that I use that outline a lot. It's mine, so why not? But it is created in a way that you can use it in a variety of situations. Then we'll talk about becoming an efficient researcher. I know it's not a research course, but you still need to think about citing quality sources. In order to cite them, you have to find them. And I don't want you to spend hours looking for, good sources. I will show you on video how you can go from a blank outline to a finished speech, including all your sources, in a fairly brief period of time, like an hour or less. I'll also tell you about the research center on campus that you can go to virtually this summer, and they can help you immensely with finding quality work. Next to last there, we want to understand some theoretical foundations of, it says persuasive, it should be persuasion. Let's change that before we post it up. We'll specifically talk about Monroe's motivated sequence, and that is a specific organizational strategy for persuasive speech that is, in my opinion, the most broadly effective way to try to influence someone with words. It works really well. All the call now commercials, the all right, well, 1-800, this, that, and the other thing. We'll talk about like the ASPCA commercials and Snuggies and all the fun stuff. Last but not least, I want you to be able, at the end of this course, to self identify, at least in part, as a speaker. And what I mean there is I've done research of my own where I ask students, are you a speaker? And they say, no, no, no. I'm a student who sometimes has to give a speech. I want you to see yourself as part of your identity as a human, that you can be a speaker. In our culture, we have this great opportunity to use our freedom of speech and our voice for change. And I want us to do that, at least have the ability to do that, whether we use it every day or not. All right. Next up, you've got a piece on the asynchronous design. That's largely what I talked about earlier. But what I will do is hit the highlights for you and just remind you that this is there if you need to go back and work through it. If you want to work ahead, you can. If you want to stay on track, you can do that as well. And I will get you feedback. It will make your time in this course much more manageable if you stay on track and don't rush through, but different strokes for different folks. You still need to be able to know that you can get a hold of me. Just because I'm not in a room for a couple hours a day on campus for you to stop by, this is probably better. I don't know why we don't do virtual office hours all the time anyway. There's the emails. I'm very responsive to that. And if you need to meet, let me know. Don't hesitate to let me know. I mean, really, we're in this together. I know it sounds kind of cheesy maybe, but I've never been in this situation before. I'm not going to go off on this whole COVID thing, the reason that we're in quarantine or at least stay at home, but it's weird. So, I admire you for taking this course in such a weird time. So we'll try to have a little bit of fun and make it as not weird as we can. All right. What will you need for this course? Course materials. Access to the internet is important, obviously. If you're watching this, you have that. You will need a recording device of some sort. You could use a webcam or your phone. If you don't have access to those things, let me know and we will try to make an arrangement of some sort. And then last, you'll need your course pack, which will be on the Blackboard site, and I'll show you that. There is no textbook for this course. I used to use a textbook. They're fine to use textbooks. I get it. But honestly, I got to where I kind of I was in a weird spot because that's money that you are going to have to spend on top of your tuition. Your tuition dollars pay for you to come in and hear an expert, me, tell you about speech. Why would I also require you to buy a book from an expert to tell you about speech? So I've decided not to. So I made you a fairly brief, it's like 40 pages course pack that will walk you through everything you need for the class. Now, let me explain something too. The course pack is useful and it's a great way to keep up with what we're talking about. However, if you don't watch the videos and use those two things together, the video and the notes, it's not going to make much sense by itself. Basically, the course pack would be like my lecture notes if I used those. It is just to keep everything sort of on track. Now, again, you need to watch and listen and learn and keep up with the notes, and they go together. I mean, I'm looking at them usually when I'm teaching you. So make sure that you do that, and your life will be much easier in the class. Course policies. What do you know? There's no meeting, so we don't have an attendance policy. Even if we did, I don't do attendance policies. Speaking of things I don't do, it's late work. Generally speaking, I don't accept late work. There will not be any makeups for any of the assignments if they're late, except if there is sort of these extenuating circumstances. Now, that includes university sanctioned absences, which that won't happen this semester. Illness, jury duty, emergencies, things like car wrecks, that kind of deal. But in all of those, I need documentation. I know it's kind of oh, really? You need that? Yeah, I really do need the documentation. The only reason that I ask you for that is because I've just you hear these horror stories, right, of people who get by with a lot of things. I may or may not have gotten by with a few things when I was in your position. And I just like us to all be on the up and up. It's not that I'm trying to get you, it's that I'm trying to treat everyone else in a fair way. They didn't get an extra day. They could have lied if that's what you're doing. And I'm not accusing you of lying, but I need to trust but verify. If you know that you're going to be gone in advance, maybe they're lifting the quarantine and you're going to be gone for a few days with your family, that's fine. Let me know and we'll get your work in before it's due, and that will make everybody's life easy. So I'll look at those on a case by case basis, but just for the general purpose, don't miss a due date. Those are all listed in the syllabus, which we'll talk about. Number 3, speech attire. I don't expect or even want you to, dress up for your speeches, but I do want you to not dress down. Okay. I know, again, it's a lot of us are sitting inside for hours and hours on end, and it's a big accomplishment when you take a shower and put on a different pair of sweatpants. But for us on speech days, speech assignments, I really want you to just tighten it up a little bit. It doesn't mean that you need to get in a suit or any of that stuff. Just business casual is fine. Sometimes you don't even need that much. What I'm really concerned with here is that I don't want you to take away from your credibility by your appearance. So, for example, if you were talking about paying college athletes, let's say that was your topic, and you came wearing a Grand Valley jersey, that's dressed down, but man, it fits, right? It works. So that's not going to hurt your credibility. So make sure that whatever you wear works for your topic. Next up, the extra credit policy. There's one way to get extra credit in the course, and that is to visit the speech lab on multiple occasions. More on that in just a few minutes. You are required to go there 3 times this semester. You'll go for a tour, quote unquote, which is just to get you on the website, to see how it works, to know where things are. Then you'll go once for your informative speech, and then you'll go one more time for one of your persuasive speeches. It doesn't matter to me as long as you go before you deliver it and turn it in. That's really what I'm looking for. But more on that in a few minutes. But every time you go beyond those required visits, you get 1 point on your raw speech grade. So everything adds up to 100. It's not a bad deal. Next up, the email policy. I've told you about that. The 24 hours. If you don't hear from me, let me know. Hit me again. Academic integrity policy is the plagiarism statement. Really hard to plagiarize in here. I suppose with a few quizzes and that kind of thing, you could cheat. I don't know how I would know if you cheated. I'm not telling you to cheat because, my God, I mean, you can go back and watch a video. So you should be okay with that. The only thing I will mention here is that you need to be very careful to always cite your sources in your speeches. If you don't, that's technically plagiarism, and it's a 0 for that assignment. You just didn't know every single thing that you told us. And if you did and you didn't cite any sources, then you probably should have found out more, as you had time to do that. But cite your sources and we won't even have any worries about this. Give credit where it's due. Next, number 7, the FERPA policy. And you may notice there at the end it says, "Don't let your mom call me." Tell you about that. So FERPA just is the Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act. It means that I can't talk to anyone but you about your grade unless you have special paperwork. Now, what you need to understand is that I can talk to you about it, but I can't do it outside of official channels. So if we were in a virtual face-to-face like this one, I could talk to you about it. If I'm emailing you back and forth on your Grand Valley email only, we can talk about it. But if you send me something from, studmuffin03@gmail.com, I can't talk to you about it. I don't know who that really is. The phone is likely okay. There might be like a short quiz before, and here's why. So I'm in my office one day, again, there. My phone rings, and it is a mother of one of my students. And the student hadn't been in class in maybe a week. And the mother was concerned, and she wanted to know how she was doing in my course. And I said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you about that." She said, No, it's fine. She would let me know. She usually lets me know. I just am a little concerned. And I said, no, if she usually lets you know, then you should ask her. She said, well, listen, I pay the tuition, and so I need to be able to know. I said, no, ma'am, I can't do that. That's a federal crime. There's a federal policy about this. She said, but you could talk to her about it then. And I said, yeah, I could talk to her about it. Well, hold on, she's here. Let me go get her. The phone goes silent. Now I'm thinking, she's there? Well, then why didn't she call me? Why aren't you talking to her? What's really going on here? So a couple seconds later, a voice comes to the phone. It says, hello. I'm like, hey, is this your name? Yeah, this is me. Oh, okay, great. So what can I do for you? Well, can you tell me what my grade is right now in your course? I said, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. But let me ask you a question first. When you came to class last, what was I wearing? And she paused and said, well, I don't know. I said, no. Let me be clear. I don't expect you to remember my outfit, but obviously I had on a shirt and I had on something over that shirt. What was it? Now, what is important to know is that if we're on campus almost year round, maybe except in summer, I always wear a vest of some sort, like a sweater vest or a golf vest. I don't. It's my thing. I don't know. Um, so that's what I was looking for because every day I had worn one. And she said, "Oh, well, I see now. I see now. Yeah, you had on your nice jacket." And I just said, "Ma'am, this is sad. Really, is this you again?" And she, yeah, it's me. It was the mom, right? It was the mom trying to get some info out of me. So don't don't do that, right? So if you want your parents to know, let them know that you want them to know, and you can sign a form, and they can know. Otherwise, it's just you. Number 8, Americans with Disabilities Act. This is usually covering a couple different bases here, but we don't need to worry about the getting out in case of an emergency because we're not together in a room. But if you need some sort of academic accommodations because of anything, really, learning, physical, other disabilities, what I need you to do is, and this is important, contact Disability Support Resources. You see their number there, 331-2490. Register with them, let them know what's going on. They then send me a piece of paper that says it's fine, help them, accommodate for them, and I'll do whatever we need to do. I mean, it's that simple. However, this is key. If I don't have that form, I can't make accommodations for you. Um, Full disclosure, I am listed as disabled through Grand Valley because I have PTSD from childhood stuff. Now, do I just tell everybody that? No, but I tell my students that because, I understand not wanting to register, and there's a stigma sometimes about whatever it might be if it's not clearly visible. But do it. I mean, this is something that would be beneficial for you. You're only causing yourself more um, like trouble, stress if you don't go ahead and register. Last but not least, Title IX. As a GVSU employee, I'm obligated to report any observation or report of sexual harassment, misconduct, or assault. So, in other words, if you reveal that you have been assaulted, I have to report that. Now, if you say, of course, I was assaulted, I've told this story many times, yada yada, that's not the case. But if you were to come in a speech and say, I was assaulted. This is the first time I've talked about this openly, but I wanted to give a speech on this topic. I have to report that. I do not have to tell them your name. I do not have to tell them any specifics, just that here's what happened with a person in my class. I say that also to say, if you want to talk to me about this, I'm here for you. If you don't, I understand. So keep that in mind. You have some options there. You have more options than I do, is the point. Couple special notes for you there. May 8th at 5 p.m. If you don't like the class, that's your last chance to get out and get your money back. Last date to drop with a W instead of an F if you feel like that's where you're going will be June 5th. I do not know if they're going to do the pass, fail, credit, no credit deal again in the summer. I know they did that in the winter. Another note on source materials. We'll get to this, of course, but don't cite Wikipedia. I put this in here because I want you to use Wikipedia, though. It's pretty nice. If you go to the bottom, it'll have these great sources, usually hyperlinked. And so why not use those? They're right there for you. It's a pretty good idea. Time limits for your speeches, you'll see those in the actual assignment descriptions. But what I'll tell you here is that if you're over or under the time limit, there's a penalty for that. It's a nice 2-minute window for you to hit, so you should be okay. But if you're short or long, I take 1 point off for every 30-second block. So if it's a 7-minute limit and you're at 7:05, that's a point off. But it's still a point at 7:29. If you get to 7:30, it's another point off, that kind of thing. Last on this are the final grade scale. It's nothing too crazy. Everything does add up to 100, so that should be pretty clear. Everything's cumulative. So everybody right now has a 0. Congratulations, you're failing. Not really. And as you complete assignments, that number grows until it finishes the semester. Okay, now here's the course schedule. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is the suggested course schedule. Those asterisks up there, topic and chapter, you'll see down here, suggested timeline in the middle. However, the 2 asterisks are hard due dates, and the assignments will be due. This is crucial, very important. They'll be due by 11:59 p.m. on Thursdays. Why 11:59 p.m. on Thursdays? Well, because on Fridays, that's when I plan to do a lot of the grading and feedback. So this column is not negotiable. This is when things are due. And I'm going to show you when we get to the Blackboard site where you're going to turn all this in and how it will work. So just as a quick look at this, there are technically 6 weeks in the class, 7 if you count the exam week, which down at the bottom here, that's going to be a short week. So the 3 asterisks, short week, due on Wednesday the 17th. That's your final speech. So you'll see chapters 1 through 3 in week 1, 4 and 5, 6 and 7, 8 and 9, and then 10. Now, there's a lot of other things in there, but those are your basic breakdown if you're keeping up that way. More again on those assignments here. So you're going to have a series of content quizzes. With those, you're going to be asked some questions about what you've read and watched in a particular week. For those, I think all of them are 5 questions, except one is 10 questions, but they're all, no matter what, 2.5 points each of your full grade. So read, listen, do well. I don't even mind if you have the quiz open while you're watching the video, and as something is said or we go across it, you can, there's that one, answer it. Great. The second item here, you have an introduction speech that will be due by the end of the first week on Thursday. And that is where you tell us about yourself. Actually, I think it's the second week. When you tell us about yourself, don't worry about delivery or being, a good speaker or whatever. This is just to get some information from you so that 1, we can get to know each other a little better, and 2, you can get used to speaking to a camera and how strange that might be or not for you, and then get that out of the way, the sort of work the kinks out before it's for a major grade. Number 3, selecting topics and sources. There will be a worksheet for this, but you will choose a controversial topic for this course. Now, as you see here, once your topic is selected, hang with me on this, it cannot be changed. So, and I think actually, if you want more information on this, no, just kidding. It's in the first chapter where there is a clearer definition here. But in a nutshell, you're going to pick one topic, and that's your topic for the semester. You're going to give your informative speech on it and both your persuasive speeches on it. Spoiler alert, the 2 persuasive speeches are the same speech, but the second one should take the feedback from the first one plus a PowerPoint, and bam, you've got it. So pick your topic. Needs to be controversial. All that means is that there are at least 2 different sides to an issue. Now, that's every issue. Usually there's 3 or 4 or 12 or 30 different sides. But, if you wanted to go with something traditionally controversial, you could do that. You could talk about unemployment benefits, online education, equality in education based on maybe race or income or whatever you want to do. Those things can always work, but you could also do sort of Mac versus PC, right? Much lower consequences. The stakes aren't very high, but it's still a controversial topic because there's at least two different ways to look at it. So, more on that as we get into the work. But again, it can't be changed once you pick it. There'll be a worksheet for that, and I'll have an example of that up for you so you can see it, and I'll have a demo video. One thing that's important, I think, to know about me and the way I do my classes, regardless of what class it is, I do every assignment that you do. And I do that because I feel like it's important to not only tell you, okay, do this, do that, do the other thing, but to show you what it might look like, to model that behavior. And honestly, I know a handful of speech professors, let's say, who aren't good speakers at all. Like, I mean, they just can't do it. And I don't think that's fair to you to ask you to be really good at it, but I'm not. And so I like to show you that it can be done. Here's how it might look. So I'll have examples of that. Then you've got your outline submissions. You've got a template, as I mentioned, that you will use for all of your outlines. Again, I'll include a completed template, or I'm sorry, a completed like example outline for informative and persuasive, and of course videos of me making those. That way you can see the process. There are the 3 speech lab visits. I will make a video about how to access the speech lab virtually. It's real simple. The short answer, the short explanation is go to gvsu.edu/km, K and then M as in money. I'm from the South. That sounds weird. That's knowledge market. Then you'll see a yellow box where it says meet with a consultant. Click it, and voila, someone will answer on the other end. It will use Google Meet through your Grand Valley email. Your camera will ask you if it can come on. Your mic will ask if it can come on. And then you're off to the races. Then you've got your informative speech, persuasive speech 1, and persuasive speech 2. There are different requirements in terms of source numbers and types and time limits. So check those. And then right there in the middle of the 2 persuasives, you've got a PowerPoint assignment due where you'll make a PowerPoint. Again, you'll have a template to use, a sample PowerPoint, and a video of how to make that PowerPoint. Real clear. Here's that virtual speech lab again. What I'll say here, in addition to just that you have to go, is that I don't make you go just because I'm the executive director. I mean, kind of. But more importantly, I really do believe in the work done at our lab. Most schools across the country have a writing center. Very few, about 120, have an oral communication center. And even then, 16 of those, about 120, are considered nationally certified, or they go through this very rigorous training process, and we're one of them. I won't let any of my consultants work with you until they've trained for at least a full semester, and that's just our policy. So make sure that you not only do it because it's part of your grade, but you will leave there with a better product than you came in with. Promise you that. I can't guarantee a grade. I can't say it'll be the most enlightening thing that you've ever done, but it'll be better when you leave than it was when you came in. Last thing there for grades will be posted on Blackboard. So then we get into chapter 1 and all that. That'll be a separate video for you. But that is your syllabus, okay? So if you have questions on that, go back and read through it, rewind the video, but make sure you're clear, and if you're not, let me know. Before we say goodbye, though, for now, let me get rid of this. Hi again. Let's move this down, and let's look at the Blackboard site. Now I know you've seen Blackboard sites before. Oh yeah, it looks weird. I'm going to take myself out so we can focus on this one. Okay. Since it is asynchronous, it's sort of important that everything is pre-built so that if you wanted to go fast, you can, or if you want to, look ahead, you can. Of course, all announcements will appear here. I haven't done any of that yet. In fact, while I'm making this, the course is not available to you. It's still under construction. It'll be available to you by midnight on Sunday, probably before. I don't know when you're watching this. Um, then the instructor information, if you need to quick reference that, there it is. The syllabus is not in here yet, but we just looked at it. So, I made a little change there from a typo. So that will be up when that is ready to go. There will probably still be typos, but try not to laugh. These next three folders are very, very important to us. So here's the documents folder. This is where you're going to find the template for the outline that you will use on all your speeches. You will find the evaluation form that I will use when I grade you. I like for you to have that in advance. That way you can practice by looking at the form. There is a demo of the informative outline and topic. Informative outline and topic and sources assignment. So those worksheets that we talked about and the informative outline, that's all there together. Here is the persuasive or Monroe's motivated sequence outline. Here is some information on how to record yourself for this course. Then in these two, you've got content videos here broken down by week. So that's as clear as I can make it. They're videos, they're all about, I don't know how you feel about it, about 50 minutes or so long. So it's kind of like going to class. If we had a 50-minute course, we would meet 3 times a week, 4 times a week. So you still get it done a little bit quicker, but if you want to go week by week, there they are. Jumping back for just 1 second, here are the PowerPoints. Most of the time I will use a PowerPoint in the video that I'm using, and I like to put it up here too, just in case you want to go back and look at it. Plus, here is the PowerPoint template for the final speech. So this is what you will use for that. Okay, let's jump back. Next up are the assignments. This is where your quizzes are. And you'll notice back on the, let me bring it back over, the syllabus here, you will see that, content quiz 1 is due. You've got some surveys that you're going to take. All those are in there. Everything that's due is explained in the video that goes along with, that stuff. So make sure you're watching those. Here are your content quizzes. There are 5 of them. So again, click on that. You can go ahead and take the quiz. Also, I think the last big thing, we've got some discussion boards. This is where you will turn in basically all of your assignments that aren't those quizzes that you just looked at. There's a sort of a lineup of everything that might be due. So here are the surveys, introduction speeches, topics and sources worksheet, everything we just talked about. It's there. Surveys too, you're going to do the surveys once and then you're going to do them again at the end to see if there was any change. Now, let's take the surveys for example. I've got on here, take screen captures, screenshots. So if you go in here and then create a thread, and you can put your name on it, whatever you want, and just take a picture of your completed surveys, attach them. That's it. You're good. For your video stuff, your informative speeches, your introduction speeches, any of that that's not, a PowerPoint or a Word doc, those you can do a couple different ways. I have a video on it, so I won't get into details, but you can basically try to upload it here. I don't know if it will fit, but you can try. I didn't even try because I knew mine would be pretty long. You can, as a second option, save it to your Google Drive in your Grand Valley email, and then send me a link to view. If you do that, make sure that you have given me permission to go in and do whatever I need to on it. And then last but not least, you could do something like post to YouTube. That's where all of your videos are. And then send me the link to that. So that's the basics there. Grades, they're all here. Let's just show you one quick look. Full Grade Center. And I just want to pull it over here. Here's the total possible 100 points. So that's how that will work. Of course, you know the other tools on here. Now, with that said, I hope everything is fairly clear. Again, I realize this is a strange situation that we're all in. This is a fully online asynchronous class when neither one of us planned on doing it this way. It is a very short period, so 6-7 weeks, and in the beginning of summer, there's tension going on because of why we can't do it in person. Lots of stuff happening in the world right now, so I don't want this to be sort of something that adds to your stress or makes you, freak out. That anxiety is normal when it comes to speaking. There's a whole chapter on that. So if you're worried about it, you might skip ahead and watch that one and watch it a couple times. But it's completely normal to feel a little uneasy. If that's not you, if you feel ready, good to go, you just want to get it over with, hey, that's cool too. But if you need me to clarify anything that you've just seen or heard, or if you have other questions, please feel free to ask me, email me. We can set up a meeting if you need to. What I might do though, if you email me a question, I'm like, oh wow, that's a really good question, I'll go ahead and post an announcement. I won't put your name in it unless you just want me to, and say, a great question came through. It was this. Here's the answer. Because I imagine if you have that same question, or if you have a question, someone will have the same question. So you're really doing yourself and the class a favor if you, clarify things. So with that, I will say have a great semester. Again, it feels weird because I want to say like goodbye, but not really, because I don't know when you're watching this and I'm still going to be around. Fingers crossed. So yeah, let me know what you need, if anything, and we're going to make it. So hang in there. I'll talk to you soon.